Today, we will be diving into HubSpot, one of the most powerful all-in-one marketing, sales, and CRM tool out there. If you're brand new to HubSpot, don't worry. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to use it to manage your leads, send emails, automate tasks, and grow your business even like a pro. Make sure you stick around till the end. I will show you how to set up your first automated marketing workflow that runs while you sleep. Now let's take a quick tour of the HubSpot navigation bar. This is where you will find all the main tools you need every day. And at the top, you will see a few main sections, which is the CRM, marketing, content, sales, commerce, service, data management, automation, and reporting. The CRM, this is the heart of your HubSpot, your customer relationship management area. And under the CRM, you will find the contact. Contact is where all of your leads and your customers are stored. The company helps you keep record of organizations that are connected to your contact or that have reached out to you. The deals help you track your sales opportunity and your pipelines, specifically your contacts that decides to buy from you. The tickets is for managing customer support issue. Orders, this help you view and manage orders or your transactions. The segment or the list helps you group your contacts based on shared details. The inbox is where you view all of your incoming emails or messages. You can also view outgoing messages which you send out to your contacts. Your calls also help you log and track calls with your clients. The task, organize your day-to-day list. The playbooks basically help you store sales scripts which help guide for sales calls. The message template basically saves email templates for quick outreach. So if you want to send out quick email messages, the message template is the place for you. The snippet is just like a shortcut to save typing common messages. We want to do it in two ways. We may either import with our CSV file if we have got hundreds of contacts in our spreadsheet, either in a CSV file, in an XLS file, Excel file, whatever form you have. We may also want to create our contacts by using the create contact button if we want to do it by typing. So I'm going to go ahead by typing my contact to create my contact. So if I go ahead and I click on the create contact, I want to put in my email. I'm going to be using a dummy email right now. For example, at google.com. You may want to skip this first name. I'm going to use Sunday. I'm going to want to use, for the job title, I want to stick on to CRM expert. And for my phone number, this is going to be dummy phone number 626-888-1111. I'm going to go ahead to apply. And a life cycle stage is how close your contact is to becoming a customer. And for this stage, I am going to be sticking to the subscriber level, and I'm going to pick in my lead status as new. And then I'm going to go ahead to create a contact. It's as easy as writing your name. In later on video, if you stick around till the end, I'm going to be taking you through all of this record and this contact card. And for now, I'm going to go ahead to import my bulk contact. Using the import button, I've got an Excel sheet. I am going to go ahead to import my data. You can go ahead to connect an application. You can as well transfer from HubSpot into other applications like Pipedrive and Salesforce and all of the rest. So for this, I'm going to go ahead to import my data, and I'm going to use the import button. For this session, I am going to import just my contact. If you stick around till the end, I am going to show you how to import your contact using the contact, companies, and the deals all together. But for this, I am going to be sticking around with phone number, email, and first name and the last name. So I'm going to go ahead to create contact and then go to next. I may want to choose by dragging in my file. I have got a dummy contact. I'm going to drag it in, then next. Now, this is just a process of mapping what you have in HubSpot with the columns you have got in your Excel sheet. These are the columns in your Excel sheet mapped with the HubSpot property, which is the first name, last name, email, phone number. In the case where the property you've got here is not here, you have to search for it. And in the case where you can find it, you have to create it as a property within HubSpot. In later on video, I'm going to be explaining how to create a property within HubSpot. First name, last name, email, phone number. This does not happen all of the time. This happens especially if HubSpot can easily map out what you have got in your Excel sheet, mapping it out with HubSpot, and then it comes out automatically. In some cases, it is not like that. And when it comes to such kind of instance, all you need to do is to map it appropriately with the fields by scrolling here and then finding a matching column. So let's proceed by moving on to next. And when you have these, you may want to agree, which is very important. For now, I do not want to create a segment. I may want to have a rename by typing a new name, but I am going to stick on with that name. And then I'm going to finish my import. So perfect. Now it shows I have 7 new import roles, 7 new record, and all of it is updated. So now I am going to receive an email to show that my import is ready. You may want to ignore that, and then you want to go back to contact to see if we have our data in HubSpot. Yeah, we have our contact now in HubSpot, and that's quite easy. And we may want to go around through this. This is all contact that shows all of your contacts. All of these could help you segment your contacts. And how do you do that? You may want to create a new view to help you segment what you want to see. So I may want to see contacts that are not assigned. Now let me go ahead by assigning some contacts to myself. That's quite easy. So while this is assigned, I want to create a new view that shows contacts that are not assigned. So I may want to say create a new view, not assigned. You may want to make it private, or you want everyone to see it. For me, I'm going to make everyone see it, and then I'm going to confirm that. So now you can just come in here, and then that is all assigned. You may want to save it, and it's saved. Yeah. All you need to do is to go into CRM, you click on companies. You may want to import if you have got large export of your company record, which could be in CSV format, XLS format, whatever format. You may want to use the create button by inputting it. So let me go ahead by creating my company, inputting the record. You may decide to skip this. I want to put in my company domain. You can reach out to me. This is my website, icongeeksconsulting.com. Company name is Icon Geeks Consulting. Yes, my industry could be, let's say, information service. I want to do type or prospect city. I want to put in Lagos. State, put Lagos. I want to put a postal code 100010. Number of employees, we want to do 8. Annual revenue $1,000. Time zone, let's just leave this for now. Put a description, and then you're going to go ahead and create. That's quite easy, creating a company. But however, we are going to be going to do a bulk import of our company. So if we do an import, we want to import my company record. I want to start import. Now, it's very important to note that while importing companies, you don't just import companies alone. However, you can go ahead to import your company, but you have to understand that a company has to have someone you reach out to. That being said, it is important to have your company information with an information of someone you can reach out to within the company, and that brings us to contact. So that being said, you have to import a company record with a contact record, and the contact record includes the first name and the last name of the people in the company. This is kind of different from the company name, so that takes me to add in my contacts. Now I want you to note that while you want to import your companies, you have to prepare your spreadsheet, and a spreadsheet that have got information of both your companies and the contacts that are in those companies, and that gives you a balanced spreadsheet of your record. In this session, I am going to be importing a company that has got contacts in them. So now you're going to see it right now. So I'm going to go ahead to say next, and then I am going to be choosing from a single file a record that I've got my company and my contact. So I'm going to go ahead and you're going to see it right now. Okay, yes. So now we have the first name as the first name, the last name as the last name, the email as your email, the phone number as your phone number. Now we have a company record. And now what do you do? This would not be a contact property. It's going to be a company property. So I'm going to go ahead to say company. And then this is going to go into my company name. So I'm going to search in my company name. And so what happens is after import, it's going to update your contact and then associate your contact with your company. And that gives a balanced record. All right. So I'm going to go ahead to next, and then I'm going to agree. See, and then I'm going to go ahead to finish my import. Now it's going to sync in my existing contact with my company record, and then that creates the association automatically. All right. So now let us go in and see what happens. So if we go into our companies, we are going to see a new company. So that's quite easy. And so what can we do? Now, when we click on this information or one of the company record, we are going to see something. We are going to see that our company has been associated with a contact directly from the sheet. And this gives you a good view about having a company associated to a contact. Sometimes you may be wondering, how do I connect my company to my contact directly from my sheet? It's quite easy. You just create a record that has your company in your sheet attached to the contact, and you do a direct import. Direct import automatically associates your companies with your contacts.
Basically, what are deals? In a layman, deals are your contacts that are getting ready to buy from you or that has already bought from you. So if we want to create deals in HubSpot, all we need to do is to come to the CRM, we head on to the deal. Within the deal, you may decide to do an import with your CSV file or whatever file you've got, or you may decide to create your deal manually. Now, I need you to understand that your deals are created in a pipeline. And for this video, we are going to be sticking to a sales pipeline. You can go ahead to create your own pipeline, but for this video, we are going to be sticking to the sales pipeline. And I want you to note that all pipelines have got a deal stage. That is, these are the stages at which your company or your contact is at a specific time in the buying process. So now for this, we have got a default deal stage, which is appointment schedule, qualified to buy, presentation schedule, decision makers bought in, contract sent, close won, and close lost. You could actually create your own based on where your customer is in your deal journey. I'm going to go ahead to import a deal, but before then, let me create a deal manually. Let's create a deal name. You may decide to skip this. Now, as I said, you have to have a pipeline where you want to put in your deal, and you have to have an appointment stage. So now for me, I am going to say it's qualified to buy. The amount, $1,000. The close date, I want to put all of this. The deal type, a new business. And it's very important to associate your deal with a contact record and a company record. If you are working with a company, you associate it with a company. If you have a contact, you may want to associate it. So here I may want to associate my deal record with David Jones, and then I want to associate it with a company called Bright Future Co. If you got a line item of the product which was bought, you may want to include it, but for here I will just go ahead to create it. In coming videos, I am going to be explaining all of the deal card, but for now I'll be going to import our deal record. Before importing your deal, you may want to have your deal structured in such a way that it enables all of your deals to go into the right deal stages. Now, here is a sample deal sheet that shows the company, the phone number, email, first name, last name, and the stages I want all of my deals to go into in HubSpot. Now, first and foremost, this is how you will structure your Excel sheet. You want to have your first name, last name, email, phone number, your company record, which is your company name. You may want to add your company domain. It is very important when importing a deal record, you must have your pipeline stage set up in your Excel sheet. you have to have your deal stage as well too, and a deal name. These three are very important for you to have a successful deal import. And once you have your deal stage set up, you may want to give the right deal stage. For me, it is the sales pipeline. For my deal stage, I have different stages, which is the closed won, closed lost, appointment scheduled, contract sent, qualified to buy, and all of that. And I want to have my deal name. And once you have all of these according to the way you want it imported into HubSpot, you may want to do a few things which may not be the same as mine. You want to go back to HubSpot to check your deals to ensure the stages are the same with what you have in the Excel. Now, if you want to do that, all you need to do is to go into your board and then you edit your stages. Right now, you can edit your stage based on what you have in your Excel. For here, I have closed won, closed lost, appointment scheduled, contract sent. And if you go back to HubSpot, you're going to see that I have the same as my deal stage. Once they are not the same, it wouldn't be possible for you to have the deal stage in their appropriate stages. Once you have all of your deal record and you're ready to import, you need to go to the import, and then you want to use import data, start import, and you want to do deals. And note, you have to include your contact and your company. This makes it balanced. It's very important that to every deals, you must have your contact record. I mean, the people who are involved in the deal or the company who are involved in the deal. And for me, I have both the company and the contact involved in the deal. So I want to add them and the company, and I want to go to next. And then I want to drag in the file, which I just showed you. I want to drag it in, and then I want to go to next. And now I want to do the mapping. First name, it's a contact property. The last name, also a contact property. Email, also a contact property, locked in as email. The phone number is a contact property and also a phone number. Company is a company record, so it's a company property, and it should go for the company name. You may want to do a company domain. I don't have that here. And your pipeline stage should be a deal property and then pipeline. For the deal stage, you want to make it a deal property mapped to a deal stage. The deal name, you want to click on the deal properties and then you want to map it to a deal name. Right. Once all of these are accurate, you may want to proceed and you say next. Now I want to agree and agree. Then let's see the magic that happens. Now what is going to happen is we have 7 import row, 14 record, 7 updated record. Yes, associations has to be created because it has to connect contact record and the company attach itself to the contact. And then now let's see the magic that happens in the deals. Now we have all of our deal being created, and how do we see that they are in the right state? Come to the Kanban view here and then see, right? Appointment schedule, qualified to buy, presentation, and then you can see all of them in their right pipeline stages. And that is basically how to create or import your deal into HubSpot. If you have watched up to this point, kindly like, share, and subscribe, as this will give me more energy and boost to create more videos like this. Now, if you want to create your ticket, all you need to do is to go to your CRM, go down to tickets. Now, briefly, let me explain what ticket means. Tickets are used to track, manage, and resolve customer issues, requests, or inquiry. Basically, they are like support cases or service requests in other systems. For example, a customer sends an email to your support inbox. That's a ticket. A form is submitted requesting for help. That's another form of a ticket. A chat conversation that needs a follow-up. That's a form of ticket. An internal team logs a client issue manually. That's a ticket. And each ticket contains ticket name or ticket title, statuses, priority, pipeline, and stages. Those are the things a ticket has. And how does ticket work? Tickets are managed through ticket pipeline. Now let me walk you through what a ticket pipeline looks like. Now if you click on the Kanban view, a ticket pipeline, more like a deal pipeline or a deal stage, you have new, waiting on contact, waiting on us, and closed. Also, you could have it in form of new ticket, ticket in progress, waiting on a customer, resolved, closed, and so on. So you can structure your ticket stages, whichever that fits your company. Now, how can tickets be created? Ticket could be created from your email, from a live chat, from forms. It could be created manually, or it could be created via automation. But for this video, we are not going to be touching automations, because as a beginner or as someone who is using HubSpot for the first time, you want to leverage the use of the free version, and as you grow, you move on to the starter version and to the pro version. So in this video, we are going to be sticking on to creating our tickets manually, and we are going to be creating our tickets through incoming emails. With our subscription, we are not able to create tickets via automation because we do not have the subscription package to create automation. But if you want me to teach you with the subscription package, such as the starter, pro, and the professional tier, you can go to the comments and say teach me with HubSpot Pro, and I am going to get you a professional plan or an enterprise plan or whatever plan you want for me to teach you with HubSpot. With that said, let us move on to creating our pipeline, and I'm going to create a pipeline manually. If you want to create a pipeline manually, just click on the create tickets, and then you give it a ticket name. You choose your pipeline. You can go ahead to create a pipeline for your ticket, more like how you create a pipeline for a deal, and then you can put in a ticket description, the source where your ticket is from. Majorly your tickets may be coming from emails, form, phone, or chat. This is done when you are manually creating a ticket. You want to give it a priority as low, medium, high, urgent. It is very important for you to associate a ticket. A ticket has to have a source. It has to have someone it is coming from, and also you should associate a company. It's not mandatory, but if you have a company that is associated to a ticket, I think it is good for you to do that. And then we may want to go ahead to create a ticket. So you can quickly skip this while I impute a ticket name. Let me say a support request. And I want to go ahead and use a support pipeline, and my ticket status could be new, waiting on, based on where you want your ticket to be positioned. Tickets could be new, could be waiting on the contact for a reply. And also for this, I'm going to be saying it is new. The ticket description, it wants to set up a landing page. And then the source could be from an email. And then the priority could be medium. The create date, which is important, I want to create it second, and then I want to associate a contact, and then I want to associate a company, and then I want to go ahead to create a ticket. Now, this is how to create a ticket. And then once you've created your ticket, we can proceed to creating a ticket through an inbox, and that takes me to an inbox. And why are inbox necessary? Inbox are necessary because you want to communicate with your clients, communicate with people you work with, or the company you are in a marketing process with. And if you want to do this, that takes me to the inbox. Now, inbox are very important, and this is the point where communication is being established between you and the customer. And how do you set up your inbox? Originally, I have my inbox set up, and if you want to do yours, all you need to do is to come to the inbox settings, and then you may want to connect a channel. You may want to do any of the channel, but for me, I am going to be doing email. So if you want to connect your email, you may use Gmail, Microsoft, and other mail. For me, I have my Gmail connected. I wouldn't want to connect my Gmail anymore. I would want to use another email. So if I use another email, I want to use customized email address. Here, I want to use sunday@icongeeksconsulting.com. All right. You may want to verify. At this point, I guess I already verified mine. But if yours is not verified, you're going to get a verified prompt. And when you verify, it goes into that inbox. All right. And then you can click on the link and then verify. Here, I'm going to just click on next. Now, this is another way to create a ticket. Now, creating a ticket, you treat all incoming conversation as a ticket. You can click on yes. But for me, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it blank and I say yes. Then if you have a forwarding address, you may want to forward all of your emails to that address. But for me, I'm not forwarding my address. I'll just go ahead and say add it to your email account. Select the provider to view instructions on how to add to your forwarding. I'm not going to add forwarding. I don't need forwarding. If you want forwarding, then you can proceed with all of this information and then put it in, and then I can connect and finish. And that is how to connect your inbox and create tickets. I think I did explain how to create tickets, and you can also create tickets through your inbox, and then you can create a ticket manually. But for this subscription, we are only required to create tickets in just two ways. You can either create it manually or you create it from an inbox using the free HubSpot version. If you're enjoying the video, kindly like, share, and subscribe. We are moving on to creating orders. And then why do you need to create orders? If you are a person who manages or have got a website or you have got a store where you receive multiple orders, using HubSpot is a good tool for you. Instead of leveraging on Shopify, you can use HubSpot to manage your orders for free. And how do you create orders with HubSpot? All you need to do, more like your deal, you can manage your orders too. Orders has got pipelines as well too. If we come here and we go into the Kanban view, we can view our pipeline. Now, how do we create orders? We could create orders through import, or we could do it manually. I'm not going to create an order manually. It's pretty much straightforward. All you need to do is just click on the create order button. But before we create order, we need to create a pipeline. Now, how do you create a pipeline? You need to click on create pipeline, and then we create our pipeline. We want to give our pipeline a name. I want to call it my orders. And then I want to go ahead to create a pipeline. And then I want to give my pipeline a stage. Now we have a default stage. You may want to rename it or leave it as it is. We have open, processed, shipped, delivered, and cancelled. And I think this looks good. And if this looks good, we can proceed to creating it. You can just go back here and then you go to your orders and then you have it created. Now, if you look at it, we have our orders stage created. You may decide, if you have got Shopify, you may want to set up an integration with Shopify. You may want to create integration also with BigCommerce, whatever e-commerce platform you've got. You may want to go ahead to integrate it. This is how pipelines are being created for orders. And then we want to proceed to create our orders. We can do that manually, which I wouldn't want to waste your time with, and that is pretty much easy, just like how you manage or you create tickets as well too. You want to create the name, pipeline, stage. You want to give it a price. You want to give it an order. It is important for you to associate your orders to a contact. You may decide to also associate a company. Now let's talk about segments or segmentation. If you want to set up a segment, you head onto the CRM here and you click on segment. We could call segment a list. And why do we need a list or a segment? We may want to categorize some contacts or deals or orders based on a specific reason, and we want to group them into a specific list. We use the segment and the list to do all of this. And how can we create a segment we can create a segment or a list through import, more like how you would import a contact or a deal or a ticket or an order. I'm not going to be dwelling with the import. I am going to be creating a segment manually. Now, if you want to create a segment, you head on to click on the create segment button. You may want to create for contacts, for companies, for deals, for tickets, for orders, and this is new. For this video, I'm going to be creating a segment for my contact. If I go ahead to click on contact and then I click on next. Now, I want to create my contact. It's going to request for a filter. What does this filter mean? It means, do I want to select a specific reason or a specific situation for my contact? And for this, I want to create a specific property, and I want to be using an import membership for my property. Now, I want to use a segment list, or I want to use an import membership. For me, I am going to go ahead to use my imports. Now I have some specific imports which I have done, and if I use this, now I want to segment based on the last imports which I did, and which is this. You could have different filters for your imports, and then I'm just going to go ahead to review and save. And now that takes me to this, which is very, very important. Now, what is an active segment and what is a static segment? An active segment automatically updates its members or the contacts in it based on these criteria. It updates it based on these criteria. Wow. A static segment is a fixed group of members that does not change unless you manually add or remove them. Now, what am I trying to say is that when you create an active segment, it keeps on changing with whatever criteria or whatever filter you have it here. But for a static segment, once you set up this criteria or this filter, it does not change. And now, active segment, let me give an example. It's for customers who spent over $100 last month. Now, this list will automatically include new customers who meet this criteria and would remove this contact when they do no longer qualify for this criteria, and that is for active segments. But for a static segment, let me give an example. It doesn't change. Once you have it fixed, it does not change. A static segment could be an attendee for a specific trade show or a contact from a one-time webinar. Now, the best kind of segment you want to create for it is just a static segment because it doesn't change. You hold the webinar one time and that's all. So that is the big difference between an active segment or a static segment. I hope you understand this, but this is the best means of explaining what an active or a static segment means. Now for these, I would love to make it a static segment because it does not change and I don't want it to change. I just want it to remain as that list. Then I may want to give my list a name, my dummy import, and then I proceed to save it. And that is it. That is how to create a segment. And one more thing, you may want to rename your segment here as a dummy list, and then it gets saved. So this is a static segment which does not change. Irrespective of whatever the filter is at that specific time, it does not change. But if it is an active segment, it changes every time and updates itself based on this.
Now let's talk about calls. Now, how do you navigate through the calls? First and foremost, you need to come to CRM and you click on calls. Now, when you get on the calls, pretty much there are no much things to be done here because we need a subscription in HubSpot, which could be sales, marketing, or service to be able to work with calls in HubSpot. However, there are a few things you can do without those plans, and then I'm going to be walking you through without subscription how to manage calls. Now, if you want to work with calls within HubSpot, you could decide to import your existing call information into HubSpot, and then you can decide to work with the filters here. But we are not going to dwell much on this. The most important thing to work with is you go to your settings. When you click on your settings, it takes you to call settings, and we want to walk you through some very important informations about calls. Now, within the calls, we got call setup. We can manage blocked numbers and we can do interactive voice response. However, you need subscriptions to do this. Now, let me begin with phone number. Now, how do you get a phone number to start calling in HubSpot? First, you can buy an HubSpot number that is usually managed by Twilio. So it says get started with a new HubSpot number or port an existing number. So you can port an existing number. If you have got an existing number before, you can as well port it into HubSpot and you begin using it to call, all right? Or you could get an HubSpot number and start doing direct calls by just using this button here to make calls in HubSpot. Now, without subscription, we can explore third party. Let me quickly digress. Now, if you want me to teach you how to use some of those plans in HubSpot to set up things within HubSpot, you can go into the comment section and type teach me with the Service Pro, Marketing Pro, Operational, and all of the Pro subscription. All right, I've got pretty few accounts that I work with on the professional level and on the enterprise level. Now we can explore third-party integrations for the free version. So now this is very important here. If you want to do this is for free. You can integrate your external application with HubSpot and then begin managing calls and even make calls directly from HubSpot using the third-party application. All you just need to do is when you make calls with your third-party applications, all of those information gets transmitted into HubSpot. I want to specifically recommend 3 major applications which I have worked with, and I'm pretty much sure if you use them you will be glad. Kecall, a little bit complicated to set up, but it's good. Ring Central as well too works fine. I would highly recommend Dialpad. Dialpad is a very good tool. Also, one other tool which is known as Sakari. Sakari. This is also a great tool that helps you manage calls with HubSpot. You may not be able to make direct calls with this one, but you can make calls with this in Dialpad, and you get all of the information. As you make the call from Dialpad, you get all of the information recorded in HubSpot. Yeah. With that being said, let us proceed with the call settings. So now for the call setup, we have pretty few things for the call configurations, which are very important when you have all of this set up. Now you can place calls using HubSpot calling. This is Trilio, and it's only for the sales service, professional and enterprise plan, and also this as well too. So with that being said, these are the few things you can do with the free version. You can set up call recording, which is default, and then you are good to go. So that being said, once you have your Dialpad integrated, what happens is you are able to see your call transcript when you integrate it with HubSpot. And also too, you can keep track of blocked numbers, which is not also available on the free version. You can also do interactive voice response, which is not available as well too for the free version. And that being said, we will be moving on. Now, if you are a project management person or a project manager, or you love to have a scenario where you have how you manage your projects, this section will be a good fit for you. You can manage your project with tasks. And how do you do tasks? You can import your tasks if you have got them in an Excel sheet, or you can go ahead to create a task manually, which is quite easy. By clicking on the create task button, you create your task with your task title. You go to the to-do, your task type, is it call, emails, or to-do, the priority, how urgent they are. You want to associate a specific record to it, which is quite easy. You can just associate a deal, a company, a person, which is a contact to it. You may want to assign it to someone within your team. You want to put it on queue, right? And you want to do a reminder and a note. So if you have a kind of project you manage and you want to work on deadlines, I think the create task is a good tool for you. And it's actually sectioned into different parts, which is all of your tasks today, the due today, those that are overdue, and then upcoming. And then you can as well use the filter button here. You can filter by assigned to based on the task type, the due date, the queue, and you can decide to clear off. Pretty much that is how tasks work. More like your money.com account, but a little bit less on money.com, not highly customizable like money.com, but it can help you manage your tasks on a small scale.
In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to make use of message templates and how to make use of snippets. Now we are going to be talking about how to make use of templates, message templates, and the snippets, and what are the use cases or what scenario leads to the usage of message templates or snippets. Sometimes we get bored about retyping statements or retyping some text, or some text just come up frequently that we need to always retype them. So the message template and the snippet saves us the stress of always retyping the same thing all over again. So if you want to create a message template, while you navigate to your CRM and you go down to message template, you just click on new template. And then in this video, I'm going to be creating my template from a template library. You can decide to do your own from scratch, but to make this video a little bit faster and not boring, I'm going to go ahead to click from template, and I'm going to be doing it myself. And then I'm going to be using one which is a follow-up email, and then I'm going to save up my selection. So now I have saved up a template. That is how to create a template. Very easy and straightforward, and you may want to look through it. Now once you have this saved, we can now use it in our conversation, specifically in our inbox, right? Maybe you want to create a quick email, you want to send out a quick email to any of your customer. You make use of this as quick as possible. Before using this message template, I'm going to quickly create a snippet as well too, and then I'm going to use both the message template and the snippet all together, all right, in an inbox as a sample to explain how they work. Now I'm going to go ahead to create a snippet. It's quite easy, just like how you create a message template. I'm just going to click on create snippet. All right, when you click on the create snippet, you want to give it an internal name. So I'm going to call it Loriem, and then I'm going to just quickly go to copy a Loriem Ipson. So I'm going to be copying this dummy text, and then I'm going to come here and then put it in. Good. And then this is a shortcut text. Take for example, you are typing and you do not want to retype all of the text, all of this Loriem Ipson text, or all of the text you've given the HubSpot account. You can just use a shortcut, and I'm going to be using a shortcut like Lorem as my snippet word. All right, and then I'm going to save the snippets. Now, where are you going to use it? You're going to use this in your inbox. Now, take for example, you are in your inbox and you need to email a friend. Let me use this as an Airtel Smart Connect as my dummy. And then you may want to use your snippet. If I want to use my snippet, all I need to do is just to use the hashtag, and then I click on Lorem. Now, can you see it pops up? And then once I click this, you see it pops up. And that's easy on how to use your snippet. Now, if I want to make use of my message template, all I need to do is to come to insert button, and then I go to, you can as well use this as well. You can go to your snippet and pick on your snippet. You can as well go to your template and then click on the template, and boom, you can just do what? You can just send it to them. That's easy and very simple. Now, let's talk about emails and marketing emails. Now, that takes me to marketing and then emails. I see most of you confuse emails for marketing emails, but I am going to make clarity between what emails mean in HubSpot and what marketing emails mean in HubSpot. The regular email in HubSpot does not mean a marketing email. Now, I'm going to be talking about marketing email, and then I'm going to be talking about the regular email. Now, marketing emails are emails that are sent to a bulk of the list in your contact. That is, marketing emails are used in HubSpot when you want to send emails to 2, 3, 5, 6, or 10 contacts at a time, or you want to send to millions of contacts, thousands of contacts, or hundreds of contacts. Your go-to should be a marketing email where you would need a CAM spam, GDPR compliance. You are going to be using your customized email to send out email so it doesn't land in spam, and all necessary email compliance, which you do with bulk emails. But if you just want to send out a regular one-to-one email, then marketing email is not where you go to in HubSpot. If you want to send a direct one-to-one email to your customer, where you need to go is the inbox. Inbox is where you send a one-to-one emails. And then if you want to send emails to many people, like a bulk list in your segments, you want to send to a list of 100 people in your contacts, to your companies and all of that, you make use of the marketing emails where you would need a domain to do that. However, you can use your Gmail, but it's not advisable as it could land in spam and you could get blocked. So that being said, I am going to be explaining how to use the marketing email in HubSpot. And with that, I am going to be taking you through a few things like managing your emails, that is when you have created your email, analyzing your email once you have created an email using an email template, right? I don't want you to confuse creating an email and creating a marketing email. And then here you can analyze all of your email with the engagements based on those who receive your email, such as the sent, the open rate, the click-through rate, and the reply rate. This is very good for metrics, specifically for your marketing email. So if you want to see those who have opened your emails, who have clicked on your emails, who actually clicked through a link in your email, and those who replied, you get to see them here. You want to see the delivery rate, if there are bounces, did anyone subscribe, or a spam rate. This is where you see, and this gives you a graphical look of how your email is doing. You may want to see the health of your email as well too. If you want to see the health of your email, you do that here, looking at your email health score, opens, click-through rate, ad bounces, and the unsubscribers, and so on. You kind of see low performing emails, those that are performing well, and those that are not performing. This gives you a robust feel of what you see with your emails, and it is free to use for the free version. So you can leverage on the use of this to monitor your emails, and you can send emails out in bulk for free using the free HubSpot version. All right. So now that takes me to creating an email. If you want to create email, you are going to use the create button. When you click on the create email, you want to create through regular and through a blog. However, you can't create through a blog with a free version. You need a subscription to be able to create a blog, except if you have a blog through HubSpot, then you can do it for free. But originally, you would need an RSS feed to do this. I'm not going to be going deep into this as a learner for you, but I am going to be dwelling on the regular. As you can see, we have automated. You cannot create your email for automation purpose on the free version. And if you want me to teach you how to automate your emails using the automated version of creating emails, you can go in the comment section and type in the comment section, teach me with the subscription in HubSpot, and then I will be ready to assist you. So in this video, I'm going to be sticking to the regular because that is what I can use alone for the free version. And I'm going to be clicking on regular, and then I'm going to be using a template. I'm going to be using this as a template. I advise, as someone who is new to HubSpot, you don't just want to waste your time on setting up something to elaborate for your emails. You can just plug and play, put in your logo here. First, you create a section. How do you create a section? You just come here and you can pick whatever section you want to use, either 1, 2, 3, or you want to break into apps. You can just drag it in. It's quite easy. Put in your logo, and then you can put in your email banner. That's pretty much easy. You may want to customize it, and this is a section. You want to increase the height or the width. You want to personalize it by putting in a link. That's pretty much easy. However, optional. You want to use a merge tag. And what is a merge tag? A merge tag is used for personalizing your email. You may want to personalize by inserting a token, which is first name. That's pretty much easy. You want to personalize by the contact first name. Once you put a first name, you want to have a fallback value. You may want to put in friend. And what's a fallback value? In a case where HubSpot checks in your contact record and doesn't find a first name, the fallback value, which is once it doesn't find a first name in the record, it's going to use friend instead of leaving it blank, and then you may want to insert. So what happens is when you say a first name, what HubSpot does is tracks automatically the first name of your contact in your record, and then automatically gives that name in your email without necessarily having to type the first name of that record in your email. So now once you do this, you can just drag in and then put in your text by using the module. Drag in your text, and then you can put that in. Pretty much straightforward. You want to customize them using all of these buttons, utilizing it, increasing the text colors, and then increasing the font size. You want to do the fonts. That's pretty much easy. And then you want to use the button. If you want to use a button, just come to the module here and you drag in the button. Pretty much easy. And then you want to put it in sections. These are sections. You want to use this. You want to bring in an image. It's quite easy. You can just bring in an image. You may want to use a video as well too, and this is a video. You want to use a divide. This is pretty much easy, and this is your footer. All right, put in your footer. You want to link in your socials. All right, once you just put them in, you can put a link to your socials, your LinkedIn. You put it there. You want to do the styling. You want to select which one you want to use. Say change it. Right, you can put in whichever one you want, changes, and you can put in your logo. You want to put in your address for your footer. You want to put in your address, and you want to manage subscription. So basically, that is all you want to learn about emails. All right, you may want to edit and manage subscriptions. You may want to manage your subscriptions. That's pretty much easy. You can just go in there and then edit it. Note that you cannot change this until you subscribe to HubSpot. That is when you would be able to change this label. Right, it comes with the free version of HubSpot. Yeah, and that takes us to the inbox. Now you want to give it a subject line. You want to give a preview text. You want to have your firm name. For me, I am from Icon Gigs, and then my address. You can use your customized email, which is mine, which is sunday@icongigsconsulting.com, and I want to use it as my reply to. And you can also change your reply to, and then you need an upgrade to do this. So basically, this is all. Then you can use the send to. Now, this is where you need to be careful about who you want to send your emails to. You want to send this. How will you send this email? You want to send it to segments of contact. And then it's a marketing information. You want to select them. For me, I can select my dummy list, which I had before. And then I may want to select those I do not want to send this to. And then I may want to schedule it for now or later. And then you want to set up the internal name. This name does not necessarily mean that is what is going to show to your customer, but it's just an internal name for yourself. So we want to leave it as a new email. And you want to edit the plain text in case it doesn't load well. You want to do a plain text, you can go in here and then do the plain text. You want to set up your location in your address, so your address shows here. Now if you want to edit your address, how do you do that? You need to go here and then set it up here by editing your address, and then once you put it here, it changes. All right, your address, and then you can save changes. That is how to manage your footer, and then you automate. Now if you want to manage subscription, there is a specific section which I may not touch in this video that helps you set up subscriptions and managing your preference. All right, but for now it is default and it works fine for the free version. Right, you do not need to change anything there. Once they click on unsubscribe, it automatically unsubscribe them, and then they may want to manage the preference of their subscription. It's properly set up in HubSpot. So now once we have the setup, and that's it, you can automate because you need a paid version to automate. But with the free version, you can send out your emails for free, right? And then once you do all of this, you want to preview and see how it is set up. You want to preview as a contact, and then you get to see. Let us get to see how our email looks like. You might want to see it in a mobile phone, and then you can preview it as an email to a client. Now, what does this mean? It shows that it's going to show you how it's going to show in real time when you want to send it out to your customer. You need a paid version to do this. You want to choose a contact here and see how it looks like. And you see the merge tag worked. All right, and I'm bringing somebody else again, and you're going to see it change automatically. All right, so you're going to see it change automatically. So you can play around it and then kind of set it up for yourself and see how everything works. Then you may want to review and then put a subject line, put in all of your social links. These are very, very, very important, so your email does not land in spam. And then put in a subject line, and then you can send. And that's how to send out marketing emails for free in HubSpot. Now let's talk about forms. What are the purpose of a form in HubSpot? Forms are created to collect leads or contacts. And how do you create forms? All you need to do to create forms in HubSpot is to come down to your marketing and then use the drop down forms. And once you click your forms, you land on this page, right? And then you want to create form using the create button. Now I'm going to set this up myself, and that takes me to form. It's pretty much easy. If you want to create form, you can start the form with a template, all right? And then you may just want to add a few things in the form, such as first name, last name. I'm going to go back and start from scratch in other forms. Yours can also appear like this. Right? If yours appears like this, you may want to use the create form button here by clicking on create form, and then you want to start like this. So basically this is how it's going to show up in your space. And if you want to create form, you can either use the form editor or the legacy form if you want to have a more highly customized form. And what we are going to be testing both with the form builder and also the legacy form editor. So for this, I'm going to be starting with the form editor. I'm in the form editor. You want to click on next. You want to start with template. You want to use this template or any of this template. But basically, when you want to create forms in HubSpot, you have to start with a template and then you build from there. All right. Now we want to start with this template to learn how to create our own basic forms. All right. We have the first name, last name, email. It is mandatory for you to be able to collect your form successfully in HubSpot to have this mandatory field, such as the first name, last name, and email. You may decide to take off first name and last name, but it is mandatory for you to have emails. It is mandatory for you to have emails because email serves as a unique identifier in HubSpot to be able to create a record. A record cannot be created in HubSpot without having an email, a first name, and a last name. They are very, very important. So in this video, we are going to be creating first name properties. You come here, you drag in your first name. It's as easy as writing your name, first name, last name. You're going to put in an email and you want to add a phone number. It's as easy as that, and you have the submit button. This is pretty much easy how to create your forms, and you want to add a few things such as company name. And a few things you want to ask from your customers. If there are other things which are not here and you want to add, you may just come to field. You may want to add a few things such as a file. You want to create a drop down. All right, you can put in the drop down here. Now you can edit this to have your options. Maybe you want to have a specific drop down. You can use this. And then you may also want to connect this. It is very important for you to connect whatever new property you're creating. And now if you want to connect them, you have to create a new property here. And then you want to have it as maybe a contact field. You want to give it like your request. Let me put it as your request. And you want to make it a multiple drop down. All right. And you want to give it first label, which could new patient. You want to have existing patients. This is just something dummy. You can put in whatever you want to put in, but I'm just using this as a sample. And then you want to have maybe make an inquiry. So once you create this property, all right, you see it automatically comes into this place. All right, and then what happens is whoever fills this, it automatically captures it into your record. All right, if you don't have it connected, it's not going to capture it. And also these are already connected by default. So once you create a new property in your form or a new input in your form, you have to connect it to the CRM. Now let me do one more thing again. You may want to create a file. You may want to request for a file. Now if you observe it's still not connected, you want to collect a file from your customers, you need to connect it. And how do you connect it? The same way I just did it. Search properties. However, it may exist, and if it exists and it's not connected, you have to connect it. So if it doesn't exist, if you try to connect, search for it and it doesn't exist, all right, you just need to create a new property using this create property body. So now once you create a new property body, you want to ask your image. You want to ask for their image. You want to create a property, it automatically creates and it connects. So when you collect all of this information, it is recorded in your database. It's as easy as that. Now you may want to create some fields that you want to see yourself and you do not want your customers to see. And that brings us to what we call hidden field. Now if you want to create what we call hidden field, you have to create a property first of a field I do not want them to see. Let me use this as a sample. In some cases, you want to create a request or you want to get an information from your form, but you want to make it hidden to your customers so they don't see it, but you see it when they fill the form. All right. And now I want to ensure that whoever fills this form, it is marked as a new patient. Once I click this in the form and I make it hidden, now whoever fills this form will automatically tell me in my record that it's for a new patient. Now we are going to do a sample shortly and then you're going to see how this appears in real time. So now you want to do a label. You may want to change the label here of what it is, and then you may want to do an help test. So kind of walk through it yourself and get to familiarize yourself and understand more about how to create a form. You can as well do some other things like phone number, which is also important. If we already add phone number, you want to do date of birth. You want to do date of birth. Date of birth. You want to do date of birth and you want to connect it. You see automatically when I wrote date of birth, it pops up and I want to connect the date of birth. That is as easy as that and it is connected. All right, so pretty much different ways you can do that, and then you get your form active. Now you want to create an autoresponder or a follow-up that shows that their form has been submitted. Immediately they click on the submit button, it shows up in the form. Now we are not able to add more steps, or maybe once they fill out this form you want them to navigate to another form. Immediately they click on submit. We are not able to do that with the free version. Maybe you want to create something like the step 1, you want to create another input or another form immediately after they fill this form without having to have too many inputs in one page. Then you will need a subscription to do that. But however, once they have this form filled, it automatically takes them to the form submission, and then thank you, we will be in touch. We won't be able to take this out because we are on the free HubSpot version. However, it doesn't matter. So far, it helps you collect your leads. No one cares if you use HubSpot, provided the forms are collected rightly. And then that is how to create your forms, and that is how to manage your forms. One other thing, you may want to explore orders. All right, you may want to add an image, which may be important. You want to customize the image of your form with images from maybe your logo so that it becomes highly customized. However, let us ignore that and then proceed. You may want to add an image of your logo. You may want to add a data privacy compliancy such as capture to prevent spams. Right, it's very important. You may want to do a data privacy in terms of GDPR compliance and some other compliance which you want to follow. These are very important, and then you can just drag it in, and then they have to agree to store and process their data. Those are the things that make up your form. And then once everything looks good, you can just proceed to save it. Now, in this case, I may not be adding this. Now, for you to do a data privacy field, you need a subscription. Okay, then let us take this out, and then let us take up our image, and then we just leave it as this, and then we see. Now, I want you to note something. This is hidden. It is hidden to the public, but it's going to show up automatically. Whoever fills this form is going to show that this form represents a new patient. And then you can also take this off. You can also do this and show that it's an existing patient. Whoever you send this form for, it shows you on the back end that it's an existing. This form is filled for only existing patients. So basically, hidden function is just to hide a field which you do not want the public to see, but upon submission, you want to see. So now there's something we call required field. You may want this field to be required. All right, you may want this field, the date of birth, to be a required field, that is a mandatory field. All right, once you make it mandatory, you're gonna see the asterisk, and also you may want to make email also mandatory, which is the required field, and also the first name you want to make it required. You want to make the last name also to required, and yes, and you want to ensure it is connected. Now let us quickly talk about logic. Now we can add a logic, but logic needs a subscription. And then what is logic? It's a condition that is set up in your form that navigates them based on the choice they make on your phone. But we can't do this with the free version, so we just stick around what we have. However, if you want me to teach you how to create logics in your forms, you can reach out in the comment section, and then I'll take you through a subscription-based HubSpot account that can leverage the use of a logic, and then I'll explain and teach you how to set up logic. You can do logics especially for when you have drop downs. When a customer click on new patients, what should they see next? When they click on existing, what should they see next? When they click on make inquiry, what should they see next? That's basically how the logic works. It's pretty much simple. Just let me know in the comment section if you want me to teach you how to use logics in HubSpot. So let us just proceed, and then we can rename our form as a new form. And once we do that, we want to save our form, review and update, add the privacy data. We do not need that, and then you want to update. So once you have your form updated, there are different things you could do with your form. You could embed your form in an HubSpot website or in an HubSpot landing page. Say for example, you create a landing page in HubSpot, you can embed it. You can grab the code and then put it on your website. Just copy and then put it in your WordPress website or whatever where you want to have your custom created website. Then it pops up automatically, and we can use a copy or share link. And this is the one we are going to be leveraging here by just copying this, and then let's see how it works. Now I want you to notice that the hidden form is not showing up because we do not want the public to see it. However, when the form is completely filled in our database, we are going to see the options we've selected in the form. All right, let me go back to the form and then cancel it out, and then you get to see. So if I pick this alone, whoever fills the form in the back end shows this form is basically for existing patients, and if I click this alone, I'm going to be getting a response back to show that it's for new patients. And if I do the making inquiry, it shows in the back end that this form they are making an inquiry. However, there are ways you could use an hidden functionality. There are different reasons why you want to hide a specific thing in your form. Basically, sometimes I use this for when you want to create attributions. All right, and so let's proceed. Let's walk through these navigations here. We have used the add buttons to add a few things. We have talked about the logic, which is not possible with the free version. And then you may want to view your content. This is pretty much easy. It just shows you the navigation of flow, right, in your form. Nothing much about this. I think very much important part of this forms is styling. Now you may want to style your form based on your branding. It's very important. You want to ensure that the fonts are the same with your branding. All right, let's proceed. Since all of this requires a subscription, let us just move on to automation, which is very important. Now, this is the only automation we are able to do for free with the free version. I think if you still want to stick with the free version, this is enough for you to automate your forms. And it is very important when you give your customers your form for submission, you should be able to do a follow-up to ensure that your customers have gotten a response, or they get a feedback from you after filling the form. And this shows a kind of confidence that their forms or their details has been collected. All right, so now how do you set up an automation for a form? Just come down here and then you set up automation for free using the free version. So we want to head on to do create this workflow. So we want to set up a workflow that automatically sends an email to your customer after they submit a form, which serves like an autoresponder to your form submission, and which is free for the free version in HubSpot. So what you want to do is a contact submitted form, you want to send out an email, and that's the only thing you want to do. Let me just delete this out. And then you want to immediately send out an email for everyone who enrolls to this contact or who fills your form. That is what we mean by enrolled contact. All right, you want to do people who are associated to the contact as well. So you can associate multiple contacts to a company. So you want to do people who are associated to that contact, all right, to receive it. But for this, we are going to be sticking with an enrolled contact, and we want to choose our email. So in this field, I will create an easy email here by just saying welcome email. And then you may fill the email, all of the rest. Create a subject line, choose your address. I want to use Sunday, my custom email. You want to enter your subject line and you want to put in your content. And you may want to set up a footer. That's pretty much easy. You want to use the default footer. And then you can put in your content. Pretty much easy here. You can also do email templates, which you already created in the past. If we have an email template which we had set up in the past, once we have it published, you're going to see it here. All right, and then you can pick it. That's pretty much straightforward. And then you can just create it and then save. All right, and once you save it, whoever fills your form gets that email. All right, here you may want to do some form settings, such as automatically create a new contact from an unknown email. I mean, if you have someone filling the form for the first time and whose contact is not in your database, you would automatically want to create a contact from that email. And also, you may want to set up to pre-populate your form for returning visitor. That is, whoever filled your form before and wants to fill the form, it populates itself. Or you can do this simultaneously. You have to choose one. Form shortening. Yes, you need to shorten your form, especially when they come out. They come out in this form. You want to set up the life cycle, how close your contact is to buying from you. You want to set it up automatically. So if you're sending the forms to people who wants to subscribe to a plan, you may want to automatically make them a subscriber. And then you may also make them a lead based on how close they are to buying from you at the point where you want to send them the form. You want to view some submission settings, like once you receive an email and once you receive a contact who has filled your form, do you want to receive a notification? Yes, you can do a notification to send to the contact owner and also to send to other users. Now, if you want to send to yourself, just click on send to other users and you pick yourself as the user. All right, and if you are part of the contact, if you made yourself the contact owner, then you don't have to worry. And if not, you can just send to other users, make yourself the contact owner. It's as easy as that. You may want to block some specific domain. Now, when we talk about email domain block, maybe you don't want people who uses Gmail to fill your form. You want people who uses customized email to fill your forms, and then You may also want to create a ticket automatically. You want to connect an inbox. Once you have your inbox connected, you may just want to create a ticket automatically. And that's pretty much easy. And let us move on to the language and the region. You want to automatically make it English. All right, that's it. Now, let us review how the form is going to work in the background. If I fill this form, and then let me fill it with my information. I put in my number, my company name, date of birth, 0506. And then let us see how this record works. Once we submit this form, we're going to do some check to prevent spam. And then once we submit it, we get this notification. And then when we go back to our contact, we are going to see what we have filled in the contact automatically. And that shows how HubSpot form collects record. All right, more like your Google Forms. You understand? So we can say it, the text 1, text 2, and then it takes our email, and then it takes the phone number, then it takes the company information, and it takes the credit. Now, how do we see the heading part of it? Now, let's go to edit our columns. And then when you click on edit columns, we want to see the edit request, your request. We want to see the input of your request. If you go to your request, we are going to see it. Once I pick your request and you apply. Now, if you look at it, you will find out that the request is empty. Now, the request is empty because we do not have an existing check for it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the form. Here is the form, and then I'm going to be selecting something. I'm going to be selecting the existing patient, and then I'm going to update the form again, and then I'm going to copy the share link. I'm going to open the form again, and then I'm going to fill it, and then let us see how the heading part of it. Now you see at the instance we can find that field. So but when we fill it out, let me use this. Let's use test 3, text 4, test 3 as a sample, and then let us put in a company name. Let's put in the date of birth, and then let's submit. Right, once we submit, let's go back to our contact. Now you're going to get a notification of a submission because I made myself the owner. I made myself to receive a notification. So what happens is you're going to see the information, all right? And then when you go there, of course, you see it automatically shows up as an existing patient. So basically, that is how to work with your forms. A few things you may want to look out for in your forms. Once you have your form published and you want to delete, you want to view a few things in your form, all you need to do is if you want to edit, just use the edit button. If you want to clone, you just clone. If you want to delete and do some other things with your form, you click on the action button, and then you may want to view your form. You want to see some details, you want to view some submissions, you want to create a list from the contacts who filled the form. You want to delete or move to folder, you can do all of this. You may want to analyze all of your forms together. You use the analyze, and then you get to see your number of submissions, form overview, the total form submissions, and all of that. That's it. Also, let me talk about non-HubSpot form. Now, non-HubSpot form are used to collect information from your website if you do not want to use an HubSpot form. So basically, you can just set up a non-HubSpot form like this. And what is the need for a non-HubSpot form? Sometimes you can set up a tracking, or you can set up a connection between HubSpot and your website in such a way that whatever form is default on your website, HubSpot automatically captures the submission without necessarily having to build an HubSpot form in your website. So non-HubSpot form does it. It automatically connects with whatever form is on your website and sends the input into your HubSpot. And then you can set up a few things with the non-HubSpot form, and then you want to do some submission settings, allow submission even without email address to create a contact, and then you can just do on or off it. Now let's talk about meetings. It is very important to book meetings with your customers in HubSpot. And then how do you book meetings with your customer in HubSpot? Pretty much easy. All you need to do is to come into the sales, and then you click on the meeting scheduler. And then if you want to set up this meeting within HubSpot, once you click your meeting scheduler, that takes you to meeting. For the free versions, you are able to create just one meeting link within HubSpot. It is created by default. All you need to do with the free version is just to edit it to fit your specific need for the appointment booking scheduler. So all you need to do is just to come into, you can use the action to embed it to your website. You can copy the link and send it out to your customers to be able to book. And then if you want to edit it, you just click on edit, and then you want to set it up based on the meeting type. For my own, it is one-on-one, which is default. I like it that way. You can put in an internal name, and then the organizer, which is you, and then you want to give it a title, and then you want to set up a location. For me, I have Zoom integrated with my HubSpot account. I'm going to remove it and then add something. We may want to add Google Meet. We want to install Google Meet. Once you have Google Meet installed, let me go ahead to sign in and then add Google Meet, and then you get to see how it is done in real time. You want to go ahead and select all and then continue. Once you have this integrated, you get a notification. See, I got a notification. Once I have this integrated, I want to go back to my meetings. Now we have Google Meet. You can just put in Google Meet and then you save. So what happens is when you send out the link to your customer, it automatically creates a Google Meeting appointment link between you and the customer. And then you may want to put a description, all right? And then you may want to include a cancel and reschedule link in the event. Once you have this linked up, it can automatically help you cancel and then reschedule automatically. Right, so you want to save this, then you want to copy the link and send it out, or you want to embed it in your website. So let's go to the scheduling. Now for the scheduling, you may not be able to edit this once it is created because it is default for the appointment booking owner or the appointment owner. And then you want to select a form, informations you want to collect. You want to collect at the meeting, and you can only do this if you have the subscription. But the basic things you need has been provided or can be collected: the first name, the last name, and the email. You want to put in a capture to prevent spam. You want to allow guests in your meeting, just toggle that on. You want to do the schedule here. You want to put some information you want them to see in the appointment booking link. For me, I have meet icon gigs, and then you want to do some buffer duration, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and 1 hour. And then you want to set up your time zone and then your availability window when you are available. Can you see mine? And this is how it's going to show up in real time to your customers when they want to book. You want to book either for 15 minutes, you want to book for 30 minutes, you want to book for 1 hour, and then these are your availability window. Pretty much good. You want to include your working hours to eat. You do not need to activate it. It's already activated. You can just save the edit, and then once you go back to your meeting, you can just share the meeting link with anyone. You can embed it on your website. You can copy the link and then share it out, and then let us try to see how the meeting looks like. So I have it here. This is how it's going to look like, and then people can book your meetings in real time, and it is as easy. And then that takes me to chat flows. Now we can create a chat for your website, and then you want to connect an inbox that collects response from the website. What's a chat flow? This is what a chat flow is. A chat flow is like a bubble that appears on your website that helps you collect response. Now it says, got any questions? I am happy to help. And then if you say, I need help with CRM setup, what happens is once you send this, I am going to get it. All right. And then it says you don't have time to wait for a response. Leave your email. All right. Once I put in my email, I am going to get it at the back end. However, you can customize this based on how you want it. All right. I'm going to get a notification that someone is trying to reach me, and then I can follow up on that customer. All right. That is the purpose of a chat flow. And then let us go back to creating a chat flow. Now you have to connect a chat flow to your inbox. So once you have your inbox connected, you want to go straight, and then we may not be able to use an AI to manage our chatbot, but we can just stick onto the live agent chatbot, or we could use a rule-based chatbot. But in this video, I'm going to be using a rule-based chatbot. My advice for you who is new to HubSpot, you make use of a live agent. So whoever messages you, pick on the customer as soon as possible. But if you're not available to answer on a live basis, you can use a rule-based chatbot, and then you may want to build your chatbot from scratch. But in this kind of scenario, I won't build from scratch in order to shorten the video. And if you want me to build chatbots from scratch for you that is highly customized to your own business, you can reach out to me and then I'll set up the highly customized chatbot which is specific to your business operations. All right, and also I'm going to be using a qualified lead bot chatbot for a dummy, and then once I have all of that, it's going to pull up that for me, and then now it takes me through a workflow. It says welcome, got any question, I'm happy to help. What would you like to do? You want to learn about product, learn about pricing, or something else? Whatever you click is going to take you here. All right, no problem. Before we get started, I need to collect some basic company information. 1 5. It saves the response. And then it says, great, a member of our team will get back to you. Before we do that, we need 2 main things. It takes your email and then it sends it to someone in your company. It's as easy as that. And then you can name it as new workflow, right? Okay, let's leave it that way. And then you want to save it up. And then once you have it saved, boom, you have your workflow created. It's as easy as that. You may want to create for a mobile chat. You connect it with your inbox and then you create a chat flow. You want to create for a Facebook Messenger by connecting your Facebook. Pretty much the same process. Just stick onto it and then you would have it. Now, one more question. How do I connect my chat flow to my website? You would observe that we do not have an embed code and neither do we have a means to connect it to our website. It's pretty much easy. If you want to create this chat flow to your website, all you need to do is to head on to the settings and we want to look for tracking codes. So now you just scroll down and look for what we call tracking. So once you click on this tracking code, once you copy, now you may not want to do all of this yourself, but you can send it to your developer to help you put it on your website. All right. So once you copy this code, you send it to your developer, or if you can do it yourself, there's a place you're going to put it on your website and it automatically pops up. And to help you position this well on your website, you have to put it either in the header of your website or the bottom of your website. So if you can walk through it, you can reach out to me and then I will help you integrate this tracking code with your website so that your chatbot shows up. Very important, very useful for people who use WordPress. Just put it up in the header of your website and boom, you are going to see all of your chat flow show up. You may want to validate if your tracking code is already actually installed by testing it, put in your website, and then you validate it. It's going to test it if it works on your website. All right. Okay. And once you have your chat flow created, next we will be heading on to reporting. We can create automation for free with the starter plan. The only way to create automation with the free plan is to create an automation via our forms, which I have already explained in video, right? And that takes us to reporting. And then let us walk through dashboards and reports. Now, first I am going to be clicking on reports. And then what do you need a report for? Sometimes you need to monitor the progress of some things in your database. You need to monitor the number of contacts that are created per day, the number of emails that are being sent out, the number of contacts that are created per day. You want to see how well your team within HubSpot are working. This is where to check the progress of your activity within HubSpot. So for the free version, you may not be able to create reports, but use templates. So now, once you want to create reports using the free version, you click on create report and then you want to use templates. You can't create report from scratch. You want to look into templates and then there are pretty much few templates. You want to take a look at teams activity. You want to use blog post total. You may just want to check all of these and see which one fits your request, and then you can just plug that in. For today, in the last 30 days, we have 7 leads and 2 customers, email sent, click total, sent, opened, and click rate, form submission. And you may just want to work around this and then set up whichever report that fits your setup. All right, and then you want to choose some data source such as contacts, and then it streamlines it and shows you your contact report, such as the contact created totals by day, contact lifecycle stage, contact total by source with lifecycle stage breakdown. Basically, you can just walk through it. And then we may want to look at deals as well too. We want to see deals, and then it gives you a streamlined version of the deals. That's basically how to create a report with a free version. You may want to do some specific visualization, like you want to use a vertical bar, you want to see your things in vertical bar or in horizontal bar. Once you have your data source filtered out, contact, you may want to see it in that form. You may want to see it some in form of a line and a funnel. Right? You want to see some in form of an area. Pretty much simple. But if you want a detailed way on how to set up a report using the create from scratch subscription, reach out to me in the comment section. I'll be walking you through various means of creating dashboards, attribution reports, sales funnel reports using the create from scratch button, and I will be happy to help you create your dashboard from scratch. However, if you want me to create a video that shows how to use the subscription of the create from scratch, reach out to me in the comment section and I will be glad to as well help you. Right. And lastly, I'll be walking you through some interfaces that are very, very important. First and foremost, I promise to explain how to navigate through the contact section. When you get on the contact section and you have a contact, for the contact, all you can do, you can create a note, you can create emails directly from a contact, you can call if you have a calling integration, you can set up a task, you can set up a meeting. Now you need all of this once you have the background all set up already. So once you have a background for meeting set up already, you can just schedule a meeting with a contact. Now you can set up a meeting by picking up a time slot, and then once you pick a time slot, you can just create it and then you save, right? And then you pick your location because we already integrated Google Meet. You can just pick a Google Meet and then you put a reminder, you put a description, you put a note, and then you save. Now automatically the contact gets a notification about a meeting that has been set up. Pretty much easy. You can create a task. You can decide to email this customer. Pretty much easy here. Just clicking on email, and then you can as well update a few things here, such as the life cycle stage, the lead stage, and then this record shows it came from a form. You may want to edit some actions like customizing the property, viewing all of this property, or viewing the property history. If you want to customize this property, maybe you want to put in other fields, you can just click on the customize property. Once you click on it, it's going to open up, and then you can add more property, such as the first order create date, and you see they begin to add. So you can all do all of this based on what you want, and then they are going to show up. And then once you do that, save, and then you see more of the properties here. And these are the website activity, site visits one. These are the overview, and it shows you the associated company, the associated deals, associated tickets, subscription payments, all those activities. You may want to view the activities of this record. You want to see this contact was created from a form, the life cycle changed as well too, and then you want to create a note here. You may want to create an email as well too, calls, tags, meetings, just as this. Pretty much you want to associate a deal by clicking on add. You want to add quotes, you want to add a ticket, payment link, contact, you want to set up subscription. You may just want to walk around this and see. Basically the same for all record, contact, deals, tickets, and all. So that takes us to the end of this video. If you love the video so far and you have watched up to this point, kindly like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Bye bye.